My name is Randy Howell, and you're listening to the Faith and Fishing Podcast.
Welcome to the Faith and Fishing Podcast. I'm Cam.
And I'm Robert. In every episode, we're bringing you faith stories and fishing memories from some amazing members of the fishing community.
So join us as we shed a positive light on all things faith and fishing. Hey, y'all. Man, it feels good to say that again. I'm Cam.
Hey, and I'm Robert.
And welcome to Season 4 of the Faith and Fishing Podcast. Robert, it has been a while. Not for us. We were just, we've been recording, but it has been a while since the listeners have heard from us. So how are you doing, man?
Yeah, man. Doing pretty good. Had to get through the holidays and, had some other things happen that took some time away. So I'll probably go into that a little bit later, but everything's been going pretty good. Been kind of lurking around on KBN and some Facebook kayak pages and kind of watching everybody get geared up for the season that's starting out. When this comes out, the KBF in Florida is already done by the time this comes out, and then possibly too the Hobie is probably already finished up, or maybe I don't know, that may be coming up in like next week when this airs. So just kind of watching that, just kind of chomping at the bit a little bit, really, to kind of get back out on the water some. It's been a while. Been fished in a few ponds here or there, but ready to get the kayak back out on the water.
Absolutely. I'm not going to apologize that I haven't gotten or that we haven't gotten episodes out yet, but I am going to just kind of explain. So we took a break through the Christmas season, and my intention was to get some stuff done leading up to Christmas, but my son and I ended up with COVID. So that knocked us out flat for a while. And then it was quite a while before I could form a sentence without coughing after that. And we're still adjusting to new jobs. This is actually my first on call week, so if I end up like if this video or episode sounds like it's like really edited really badly, it may be because I had to leave and then come back.
Yeah.
But I've been called out a couple times this week for a couple different crazy reasons. Somebody drove into a handicap sign that had like the big concrete slabs at the bottom.
Oh yeah.
And like pushed it a solid 15 feet.
Gosh.
And it's like, how in the world, like, did you not realize that you were pushing concrete? Like, and then had a leak over at the bowling alley, so had to go respond to that last night. So it's been fun. Had some weird shifts at work, and yeah, I'm just kind of like you. I'm chomping at the bit. I've been lurking. I've been doing a little bit here and there. I did get a chance to partner up and join the pro staff team for Carolina Waters.
Yeah.
I don't.
I saw that. Congratulations on that. It's a good
Yeah,
deal.
and I think I've mentioned them before on the podcast. I typically wear their sun protection gear when I'm out on the water anyway. So I was like, hey, this is a perfect fit. I'm already repping your stuff, so let's see what we can do. So they've got these awesome sun shirts. I've got a new sun hoodie now that it's that same SPF material, but it's got the
Yeah.
hood so that
I've got a blue one with the hood on it. Yeah, I like it. I like it too. It's a little bit different material than all the other typical fishing shirts. It's hard to explain, but it's super comfortable, and that's one of my favorites for sure.
absolutely, and their prices are not bad. I mean, the sun shirts and the hoodies, and they're very reasonable. Like whenever you compare it to like an NRS or something like that,
Yeah.
I mean, it's either right there on par or a little bit below. And if you want to save a little bit of money, you can use the promo code Steele15. So my last name STEELE15. You can use that at checkout, and it'll save you a little bit of money. So and their prices will be even better.
There you go.
But yeah, it's a good team. If y'all remember Jay Jackson, he's been on the podcast. J2 Country is his Instagram and YouTube. He's on the team. One of our CCKF guys, Dontrell Sullivan, is on the team. And I think is it Matt Dunn?
Yeah. There's a few of the local guys that are on that. Yep. All solid guys.
And there's a few of us that have podcasts. I mean, Chris Decker,
Yep.
over with oh man,
Carolina Lunker Hunters.
yeah. I want to make that name longer than it is whenever I try to tell people about it. But he does a podcast that just kind of keeps up with the local North Carolina kayak fishing tournament trails. So
Yep.
that's a good one. And then there's another guy. There's a couple more guys, but something like OneCast. That might be it. And then another one is, I think, geared more towards saltwater. So definitely I'll definitely be mentioning their podcast better in the future so that y'all can go listen to them. But yeah, for sure. So it's a really awesome team, and I'm excited about that. But in terms of fishing, I haven't even been able to hit ponds, man. So I am excited about getting the kayak wet and doing some fishing here pretty soon. So
Yeah, I'm the same way. Yeah, that whole Carolina Waters, all those guys are good guys, and then I'm glad to see Chris Decker back at doing the Carolina Lunker Hunter. So I know a new episode of that just recently came out, and I missed that towards the end of last year. He writes for I believe Bass Magazine, and does a lot of writing for them, and travels around a lot to the boat tournaments, and writes quite a few articles. I'm sure it's just one of those things, you get super busy, and there's only so much time for so many things. So I'm glad to see he's back at it, because that's one of my favorite listens. And then, glad to see that you're doing better now, and got over the COVID, and hopefully your son is recovered as well. So
yeah, we're doing good. He's bouncing off the walls. He did bring home some daycare germs. So if my voice sounds even more deep and sultry than usual, it's just the congestion. He'll be back to
I
normal.
hear you. Yeah. Kind of along the same lines, I mentioned it a little bit ago. I had some stuff going on. My mom was supposed to come here, actually, I think the day after Christmas, on the 26th. I think that was a Monday, and she started feeling bad, and didn't make the trip because she just didn't feel quite right, and ended up, I think, on the Wednesday of that week, had to go to the emergency room, and she ended up having a tumor that she had to have removed, that was cancerous. And so now we're on, I think that's been maybe 3 weeks ago. Maybe this is 4 weeks ago now that she had to have that removed. And so she has stage 3 colon cancer, and so we've been kind of dealing with that. She just got some scans done. This is Wednesday, actually yesterday, and they found out that it hadn't spread to any of the other regions, just the lymph nodes that were right around where the tumor was taken out. So that was pretty positive news, a kind of best case scenario for a tumor like that. So hopefully, once she starts chemo on Friday, and they, there's a shot that they can just get rid of it altogether. But definitely, my dad passed away of cancer too. It was skin cancer, and that was pretty quick, relatively speaking. And so hopefully they'll be able to prolong that, maybe get rid of it altogether. So the things are looking up on that. And so that's what I've had going on. And actually, not this weekend, but next weekend, I'm going out to Tennessee to spend some time with her. And then in the process of all that, we had some rental property that we sold, and then we got a house closer to the coast, or on the coast at Oak Island. So we've been dealing with that and getting that closed down. Of course, it was not the best time, and to have to close on a house and then have my mom in the hospital and all that. So that was some tough choices on what I had to do and where I had to be. So thankfully, my sister was able to pick up my slack on that and help my mom out, and Alan, my mom's husband. Definitely thanks to those two for helping see her through that little hospital stay. But yeah, I'm kind of stoked about not only going to see my mom, and things are looking up on that front, but stoked to have a place where I can catch some redfish and some trout. So I'm looking forward to that. And we went down last weekend and got that all finished up and started getting some furniture and things buttoned up. We're going to use it, but we're also going to rent it out as well. So that's exciting.
Absolutely. And so we had some family stuff going on too. So definitely understand where you're coming from there. So I did want to mention, so y'all know that we have the podcast side of it, and the YouTube, the video for the podcast goes up on the YouTube channel. This time, they will be a little bit different. On the YouTube side of things, you will have a quote unquote ad-free experience. So we are still working on getting all of the sponsor stuff finalized for this season. We are welcoming back all of the sponsors that were with us at the end of last season. So since they will not be playing ads and everything on the video side of things, I want to make sure that we give a shout out to all of the sponsors that help us out. So we got Savior Outdoors, Atolus, Jade's Jigs, Omnia, Omnia Fishing, Mr. B Lure Company, and Get Outdoors Pedal and Paddle. Huge thank you to all of those guys. I know we just kind of gave like a big advertisement for Carolina Waters there. That was just more of an announcement on my part than an advertisement, but I had to get my shameless plug in there. But yeah, we definitely want to let our sponsors know that we are super thankful to have them, and they're greatly appreciated for everything that they do. So yeah. So let's talk about the fishing season coming up. What are your plans for this season coming up? What are you excited about? What's going on, man?
Yeah. So, kind of last year, my goal was to kind of go fish some bigger events, which I did. Very great experiences all around. Toledo Bend, Santee Cooper, the Susquehanna. I'm probably going to do Santee Cooper again on the Hobie side of it. They're also doing the New River, West Virginia, which I think is about 3 hours. That's pretty close. So I may try to do that one. Probably going to fish. I think there's a bass event at Lake Murray. I want to say that's right, or maybe that's KBF. But then, besides the stuff that I can get to in 3 hours on the National Trail side, everything else is going to be CCKF, which is Central Carolina Kayak Fishing. That's our local club, and then Carolina Kayak Anglers (CKA). I'm going to fish mainly those two trails and see if I can get up there and qualify for the end of the year tournaments on at least one of those. I'm going to start out trying to fish both of those, just kind of see how I do. And if I'm faring better in one than the other, I may have to go with one or the other just to kind of according to Ryder's baseball schedule, because he's got some weekends in June and July that he's playing. So those I'll definitely be at his games and not fishing. So I kind of have to see how that schedule lines up as well, according to what I'm going to fish. But sticking a little bit closer to home and not trying to do any 16-hour drives or 10-hour drives. Now, that was fun last year, but as you mentioned before, we both have different jobs now. Plus, I'm still doing my lawn care landscaping business on top of a job. And that's working out okay so far, but trying to not go in debt paying for kids' colleges. So if we can work a little harder and pay that as we go, I'm a lot better with that than having him take out student loans and then, you know what I mean, starting out with your kids already $100,000 in debt or whatever is, if I can keep from that, I'm gonna do that. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about you?
So I did have a question about yours real quick.
Yeah.
You said the New River in West Virginia. Is that Western Virginia or is that the state of West Virginia?
Oh, no, maybe that is in Virginia.
Okay, maybe it runs.
I
through
have to look it. I have to look it up.
I wasn't sure about that because I knew the New River in Virginia, but I didn't know it could very well run.
No,
through.
I think it is. I think it is Virginia. I've said West Virginia, but I think it is Virginia because West Virginia would be farther than 3 hours. Because I kind of wanted to stay closer, but I did pull that up and put it in Waze and look at the time frame of it. If it was West Virginia, it would be further than that. So it is Virginia. I'm pretty sure.
Nice. So for me, there's a few tournaments for Central Carolina kayak fishing that I'm planning on fishing. There's a lot of them that I'm not sure how the schedule is going to work out for me because they follow my on call weekend. So we do have a guy there on Saturdays, and at some point they want the on-call guy to be that guy, but right now it is not. So technically I should be able to, but I have to make sure that by the time 3:30 rolls around, I am like ready to be called in at any minute. So we'll see how that goes. But I am looking forward to those tournaments and looking forward to doing some more content creation this year. And then the one that I'm really looking forward to, that is going to be my first time, going out of state for a tournament, is I'm planning on, if everything goes according to plan, I'll be heading up to Dale Hollow for the Paddle and Fin tournament this year, at the end of April. So that should be really awesome as well. Looking forward to getting to meet a lot of the people that we've had on the podcast, and we've had contact and
Oh yeah,
interacted with all the time. Like we talk all the time, and finally meet them in person. So really excited about that. But in terms of the tournament trails and fishing, that's going to be the thing. I don't really have a main goal for fishing this year other than, just enjoying myself. And like I said, some more content creation. We've got some uh, new new equipment for in terms of like batteries and stuff for cameras and everything. So hopefully I'll be able to get some more better camera angles and stuff to really help out with that. So
It just makes more to edit. It just makes more to edit. There was a couple of times I had 3 cameras running, and then I started editing those videos, and I was like, oh yeah, this isn't working. I was like, it's going to be now I will say that there were some cool shots I had one that was over the shoulder, I had one that was facing me, and then I had one mounted on the other side of that was almost kind of on the water. And I did get a couple of good shots of like netting some fish and a couple good blow up shots on that camera that was the other way. But just going through all the video to find like that 30 seconds of stuff you're going to use for that, it was just like, okay, yeah, I can do without those 30 seconds. But it is good to have a couple of different views. It does make a better video for sure.
Yeah, and I'm definitely not going to be, putting out videos once a week or anything like this. If I get 8 videos out this year, like I'll be doing good.
Yeah. So I just looked that up while we were doing it. It is West Virginia. Let me get my spectacles and I'll tell you where. So Beckley, West Virginia is the host city for that.
Okay. Beckley.
Yep.
How far away from War is that?
I don't know that.
War is the very southern tip of West Virginia. There's a very small community named War, West Virginia.
It looks to me like it is maybe an hour northwest of Blacksburg and Roanoke.
Okay.
So it's not far into West Virginia.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I don't see Juarez. But yeah, so we both have some good things. You're gonna really, really like I want to say Cordell Hole. Where are you going with Paddle and Fin?
Dale Hollow.
Yeah, Dale Hollow. So Cordell Hole is the next lake over. So where I went to college at was between those in Cookeville at Tennessee Tech. So where I deer hunted on public land was Cordell Hole Lake. And then where you're going is the next lake over. But both of those lakes are tremendous lakes. And you're going to have a ball. And then I actually might see if I can sneak in on that deal. I don't know how the weekends will line up or whatever, but I know it's 8 hours from where we're at. Maybe you could possibly make it a little bit less than that, but pretty close.
I have a way of making things go as slow as possible. It's like I'm a magnet for it. But yeah, I've been told that the time of year that it will be good for cranking, which is right up my wheelhouse. And I have one goal for that trip. One goal, and that is to catch my smallmouth.
I was going to say big smallmouth.
It doesn't have to be big. It just has to be a smallmouth. That is.
Yeah, if you catch them there, they're going to be decent size. That's one of the prettiest lakes. I got a buddy that I went to high school with, and he drives. It's probably almost 2 hours from where we grew up, but he goes up there to water ski and tube because it's so pretty. And so I see him post pictures all the time, and I'm like, oh man, it's a nice area. So, and those guys all seem like great guys, and that's something that I was eyeballing even last year, trying to figure out how to make that happen.
Yeah, me too.
So Well, we're gonna get once it
but
gets a little closer, we'll see how those weekends line up.
yeah, last year they decided to put it on the weekend right after my anniversary. So, sorry, Paddle and Finn, my wife beats you.
Yeah.
But yeah, looking forward to that. And speaking of Paddle and Finn and those guys, make sure that you check out their podcasts. They've got a lot of new podcasts this season. And shout out to Bass Kayak and Beers, Armando and Danny
Final
Perry.
cast.
Those two guys decided to kind of go their own direction, and they have one show that's called The Real Life and one show that's called Advanced Kayak Angler.
Yep.
Phenomenal shows. Make sure you go check those out as well. Spread the love out among those fishing podcasts, y'all. I mean, we are just one of many, and there's plenty of time to listen to podcasts. So make sure you go out and listen to all of them. So yeah, we're pretty tight knit community of podcasters. So we all love each other. And we all spread the love. So definitely want to make sure that we're doing that. But so Robert, in terms of podcast stuff, what are you excited about this season?
That's a great question. I'd say, just getting some new faces on here and then seeing some of our old friends as well. And I feel like, we've kind of gotten used to each other some as co-hosts. And, I'm just glad to be a part of the podcast and glad to, contribute my 2 cents per se. But I think it's going to be cool just watching how everything grows. Not only just the kayak side, but the boat side. I mean, recreational fishing, and then the face side of it. I think just touching base on that and having another touch point, if you will, in my life to talk about faith helps me out tremendously. So, and I'm sure that helps some of the listeners out too. They want to hear a little bit about fishing and then, throw a little bit of faith in there too, to get their wheels turning and, think about all the positive stuff that comes from that. We do this on Wednesday nights and we started doing a little bit with the the older youth group at our church. So I'm just getting home from that and then jumping on here. So that's a pretty good combination too, because you get kind of a little shot of faith before it, and then we get to talk about the faith and the fishing side of it. And it's pretty cool tonight. We had all of the middle schoolers and the high schoolers share their testimonies if they had one. Some of them did, some of them didn't. And I was like, dude, when I was 15 or 16, I didn't have any idea of how my faith testimony was going to go. I thought I did. I was, went to church and, thought I knew it all when I was 15. But as we all find out, as we get a little bit older, we really don't know anything when we're 15. So, but that's cool to see that positive thing going on, and, excited for, to hear more of our guest fishing stories and really excited to hear their faith journeys as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. I have, there are some guests that I am working on getting on that I'm super excited about. And I don't want to mention any names or anything, because I don't want to make promises that I can't keep. I'll talk to you about them later. I haven't even talked to you about some of them. But I am working on that. And I'm super excited about that. Getting, like you said, some new faces on here, some new face stories, some new favorites. And then, reconnecting with people that we've had on. I've got some fun ideas. I know you do too. And looking forward to that, and looking forward to growing the community. Um, we're sitting at something somewhere close to 6,500 listens right now, total downloads. So, looking forward to seeing the growth, and um, trying to get those last four states. Um, we did add another country over the break, so
That's cool.
shout out to Israel. I see y'all, and I hope that you're enjoying what you hear. If you've got anybody over there that wants to come on the podcast and wants to brave the time zone difference, we can try to work something out. But yeah, so um, looking forward to that. Looking forward to just bringing some more positivity in, and being a light of positivity, and um, like you said, yeah, whenever you start skipping a week and recording, it snowballs, and it makes it easier to skip the next week and the next week and the next week. And I didn't realize how much I was missing it
Oh
until I
yeah.
got back into it right now, and I'm like, oh man, this is yeah, I love this. How did I go this long without recording another episode? Looking forward to just keeping that fire going, and seeing what comes our way. Maybe adding a few different elements to kind of spruce things up a little bit, whether that be technology wise, or whether that be idea wise on things we can do to spruce up the podcast and everything. So looking forward to it, man.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. It's crazy. I guess everybody the last few weeks has been really talking about the rule changes that. Um, I guess right now it's just Hobie that's announced. Some of the rule changes and stuff, but everything progresses. The podcast progresses. Fishing progresses as far as the boat side, the technology, kayak side with the rules, and some people like them, some people don't, and to me, it just is what it is. I mean, you got to play the cards you're dealt, and um, so not really any major shockers on the rules for me. I just most of the time I'm going out of ramps anyway, just because I got a heavier kayak. I'm not dragging it into across somebody's field to put in. So none of that stuff really
Yeah.
affects me too much.
Yeah, and I should probably keep my opinions to myself because we want to, make sure that we're being positive and everything. But um, yeah, I don't have much of a dog in that fight. So I mean, y'all do y'all, and as long as y'all have those kinds of rules, I won't do y'all. So, but I'm that way about most of the national trails. So. I mean, if it were up to me, kayak fishing would be just that. Kayak fishing, you would be using a paddle. You would
Yeah.
be, um, you would, a lot of the kayaks that people fish from now, it's phenomenal. I think it's awesome to see the growth of the sport. But I'm sorry, that's not a kayak. Um, it's just not. That's a John boat. But I mean, more power to you. I mean, and you got the money to spend on it. You do you. If you're out there and you're loving it, that's awesome. But it's I mean,
No,
I
I'm with you.
it's awesome to see where it's going. It's not for me.
Yeah.
But um, but yeah, I'm
Yeah,
interested to see.
definitely. I feel like sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but the designated launch deal to me does take away some of the kayak. I don't know if kayakness is a word, but I mean, you should be able to drag it across public land and launch wherever you want to. my idea for that was to have, a map and have a designated spot where you can't go past this point on this tributary. The tournament director has deemed it too shallow, not navigable, however you want to put that. And once you have that, yeah.
I mean, don't tell me it's not navigable in a kayak, because I can get out and I can carry it anywhere I want.
Yeah.
But
I understand what you're saying too,
that's
but
what kayak is for. But I mean, if it's out of bounds, it's out of bounds. Like,
that's right. That's what I'm
there
saying.
doesn't
Right.
need to be a
Yeah.
reason that it's out of bounds. Just say this is out of
Yeah.
bounds.
It's out of bounds. Yeah.
Boom.
Cause you don't want somebody 40 miles up a creek on a spot that's maybe foot, you know what I mean? Like in a deeper hole. You don't want to leave those doors open, but
Right.
I don't really care for the designated launches myself.
I mean,
But
if nothing else, the safety of the angler, you don't want somebody by themselves 40 miles away and something happened to them and nobody be able to get to them.
yeah,
I definitely get that. Like, I have no problem with there being out of bounds.
yeah, I like that too.
But don't tell me that it's out of bounds because the guys with a motor can't get to it. Boo hoo.
Yeah,
No,
I'm with you.
So, but yeah, let's see. I had something else that I wanted to bring up, and I've done let it slip out of my head. You got me fired up.
Well, I think the only other thing that really it affects us locally is, last year both of the local clubs used Fishing Chaos, and then Central Carolina Kayak Fishing let everybody vote on it, and more people voted to go back to Tourney X. I like both of them. I don't have anything against either one. I do feel like Dwayne is more involved with the kayak fishing community than Mr. Fishing Chaos, whoever that is. I don't know who started or runs that.
I don't either.
Yeah, but you see Dwayne around on, if you have questions or whatever, you can message him or whatever. But as far as the apps goes, I used them both last year because some of the trails used one, some of them used the other. I think they both function well. To me, there's not a huge difference. Other than with our local ones, it was a little more cost effective because we could just, do the Fishing Chaos and you only had to pay that one time instead of it's $5 per angler on Tourney X, which is into the cost of the tournament, but you're still paying the $5. So, but to me, it doesn't matter either one, but
yeah,
I can't.
In terms of functionality, I don't really have a preference either. I mean, I prefer, and I'm throwing up those air quotes there, Tourney X just a little bit, just because I have more experience with that than I do Fishing Chaos. I've only done Fishing Chaos for the 3 tournaments that I fished last year for CCKF. So, I mean, I didn't have any problems with it, but I'm more used to Tourney X than I am. That gnat just got right there and it just hovered. But I'm more used to Tourney X than I am Fishing Chaos. So I don't, either one's fine, but I'm a tiny bit more confident in my abilities with Tourney X.
Yeah, I'm with you.
What about on the bass boat side, the professional scene? How do you think those rule changes are gonna, now that it's set in a little bit with MLF? How do you think those has your opinion changed on how that's going to affect things?
No, I mean, my opinion is still the same. I liked every fish counts for MLF. I think it set it apart from the whole 5 fish deal. But everybody grew up watching people bring fish in, 5 fish. I know they're still going to have a official in each boat. And as far as I know, they're still catching and releasing all of them. I'm not even sure. Like, I know at one point in time, there were quite a few people that talked about keeping your biggest one to bring to the weigh-in. I do think that that may benefit MLF and like maybe a TV ratings deal. Um, but people that are tuning into that, I don't think that you have to hold that fish up on the stage. I think the people that are tuning into MLF want to see the fish catches, and they're cool with seeing it caught. Hold it up on the boat. I mean, it's the same thing. Hold it up on the boat or the stage, either one. You're still getting to see that. So, I don't know how it's going to affect the. I think the biggest effect is probably going to be, um, I think MLF kept or will gain some more anglers. I think there were a lot of anglers that were potentially going to not fish MLF because of the every fish counts thing. And I think those anglers put enough pressure um, on the, on MLF to make some changes. So yeah, I think they'll both survive. Bass isn't going anywhere for damn sure.
Yeah,
Um, I mean,
they
you see that. I mean, you take MLF and you take some of the top anglers and you pull them out, and guess what happened to bass? It backfills with people that are just as good, just as entertaining, and there's a few others out there. Uh,
I mean, you imagine in the 90s. Let's use the 90s just because that was the era I grew up in, and I can name those people a lot better. In the 90s, Michael Jordan, Gary Payton, um, and towards the end of the 90s, Shaquille O'Neal, Hakeem Olajuwon, Clyde Drexler, um, Scottie Pippen, and all of these guys decided, you know what, we're going to make a different league, and they leave the NBA. You think the NBA comes back from that?
Do I think so?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, because Jason Williams is still there. I mean, you got the biggest showboater of them all, White Chocolate. I think he can carry the whole damn league. But I mean, if he left too, then there may be a problem.
As much of a Jason Williams fan as I am, um, I man, you take that's what
I
happened
know
to
what you're
Bass.
saying.
Though. That's what happened to
Yeah.
Bass. Every single star fisherman left,
Yeah.
and Bass it didn't phase them a bit.
No.
They kept right on trucking, and like you said, it backfilled with people who were just as entertaining. Um, and I mean, you had guys like Seth Fighter and all these other guys that just you know what, I'm going to take this mantle. I'm that
Yeah.
guy now.
Yeah.
And,
And they
yeah,
stepped up and they're entertaining. And I mean,
and
I follow those guys on social media, and and I'll be honest with you, the damn NPFL, they have some damn sticks on there. They have some very entertaining guys. Um, so I like to watch all three of them. I do wish that they would have kept the differences of the every fish counts thing. I think they kind of, in some ways, shot themselves in the foot a little bit. I mean, hey, we're going to do this whole thing. Oh well, 3 years into it, let's go back to the five fish thing. And I mean, I get it, but I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. I mean, I like NPFL. I like the announcers on both sets of them, and I like MLF. I like the Bass guys. I like Luke Duncan, Catfish. I mean, you just anywhere you turn, to me, it's all quality content, programming, whatever you want to call it now, because MLF doesn't give a damn about TV rating. They're getting all their views through the apps and online. Um, Bass, I still think is probably carried by the TV ratings, I would assume. So I like it all. I just honestly, I want to see kayak fishing get there where we can figure out how to get cameras in, let's just say, the top 5, top 10 kayaks on the last day of some of these 2-day tournaments. And, the first day, split them up between the bigger names. I mean, the technology's out there. And, the people are, you look at the cost of a bass boat. If you don't have 70 to 100 grand laying around that you can go buy a boat with, you're not going to get a new You're not going to get a new boat, because that's the price of them now. And, they're selling as many $2,000 and $3,000 kayaks to make up that difference. I mean, there's probably 1,000 kayaks sold, at $2,000 a piece to every bass boat that's sold. I don't know what the numbers are on that, but I guarantee you the revenue generated by kayak sales is probably outpacing the bass boats. So the revenue is there. And when people realize that people that are kayak fishing, when all these lure companies and electronic companies, man, you look at some of these kayaks, just like you said, hell, they got damn motor hanging off the front, motor hanging off the back, 3 screens on there, a damn 360 plus a live view. Damn, hell, you got damn $20,000 wrapped up in these kayaks. And these companies are going to start figuring out that they need to be dropping some money in there. Yeah. Because if you put this stuff on TV and somebody says, okay, here's this guy or girl, they're going out with all this stuff. Look at their kayak. They got all this stuff. And then you're going to pull some of those boaters. But then you got somebody that's going out without anything on his kayak, dragging through the damn woods, fishing skinny water, and whipping everybody's ass to the point where they changed the rules. I don't give a damn what they say about it. They changed it because they didn't want Drew going up in these little creeks. Or there's a few other guys that do the same thing, So you get the one side of it where you're pulling those boaters, and then you get the other side of it where somebody sees Drew Gregory pulling this cheaper kayak, cheaper as in price, not as in quality, because I think everything that Crescent puts out is quality product, but it's more affordable. It's probably the better word, more affordable kayak.
Because, I mean, whenever you look at it, at like the Sholey, that's a $1,500 kayak. That's not cheap.
Well, it's not cheap, but it's more affordable than a $4,500 Hobie.
Right.
But you see him winning these tournaments with no graphs, no motors. And then guess what that tells everyday Joe that's out here pond fishing? You know what? I'm going to save up $1,500 and go get me a Sholey, because I can go compete in these tournaments. And you can. Yeah. You can. I mean, you still have to do your homework. You have to put your work in. You have to be smart about where you're putting in, because you can only go so far with the paddle. But you can compete on your local trails. You can compete on the national trails, because guess what? The Bass Angler of the Year just did it. So when all these companies figure out that you have two sides of this, you have things that appeal to all these people that have been boaters, and then you have another side of it that appeals to just a everyday dude that's going out pond fishing, or fishing out of a John boat, or some smaller crafts that can go and put a little bit of money into it and still compete. If this stuff was on TV right now, it would be growing 10 times faster than it is, and it's the fastest growing segment of fishing as far as I know. So I just think it's a matter of time before it gets on TV and somebody steps out there and puts the technology in the top 10, top 5 people to get some of this on TV, and, not just have the YouTube replays, the YouTube replays of people's tournament breakdowns. Excuse me. I love those. But, the craziest thing to me is why somebody doesn't step out and put kayak fishing on TV. The second craziest thing to me is there's no way that some of these bass boat electronic companies, rod companies can't get together and sponsor Christine Fisher on the damn Bass Opens to be the first female to go whip some ass at the Opens. Because if I owned a company that wanted to appeal to women anglers, they got to get a couple people together and just say, like, hey, we're going to sponsor you if you'll do it. Now, she may say, I don't want to do it. I like kayak fishing too much. But I guarantee you that she would compete on that level, no doubt about it. And I can't understand why somebody's not already done that.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree with that. All right, man. So let's see. We've talked about, what we're excited for. We've talked about some things coming up. Who's the one person that, if we can get them on the podcast this year, you want to talk to them on the podcast this year?
Justin Martin.
Justin Martin.
Yep. Duck Dynasty, Justin Martin. J Mart.
All right. We will see what we can do.
There you go.
I have actually already reached out. I haven't heard anything back yet, but the people that I'm trying. I'm like I said, I'm not making promises here. This is just throwing it out there, like getting it on the air that this is who I want to talk to. But John Micah Summerall and James Mead from Cutlass, the Christian rock group, they have a podcast out called Rockin' a Hard Place, talking about their story. And they had an episode where they were talking about every year they take a trip to Alaska and they do salmon fishing up there in Alaska. And I'm like, oh, snap. I want these guys on the podcast, because Cutlass has been like my favorite, like one of my favorites for a long time, and my favorite for a while in terms of their music. It's right up my alley, and so
that'd be cool.
I sent them an email. We'll see if they respond. But
fingers crossed.
So, John, Micah, and James, if you're listening,
yeah, we can send them a link. We'll get them to listen.
So, yeah, man. Have any final thoughts for this episode?
No, man, just excited for 2023.
Oh, that reminds me. You make any resolutions this year?
Nah, I'm not a big resolutions guy. My wife and I, we do like the dry January and then the no sugar January. And I really, and before this, we already had a trip planned to Disney like the second week of January. And that's been planned for like a year. The whole house at Oak Island thing just came up in like the last 5 months. And because we were rolling money over into it, that was on a time frame that we had to get done. And then my mom having the tumor kind of all got jumbled in there. So all that to say, we went to Disney the second week of January, and I was like, you know what? I'm not doing the dry January and the no sugar deal if we're going to Disney. So my wife and my older son, Mason, are huge runners. And so we went down to run they have 4 races. One's a 5K on Thursday, a 10K on Friday, a half marathon on Saturday, and a full marathon on Sunday. And they call it the Dopey Challenge if you do all 4, because the only people that would do it would have to be dopey. But my wife and my son did all of those. This was my wife's second time doing that.
Wow.
And me and my other 2 kids, we just ran the 10K, which was plenty, maybe even more than plenty for me, but I did make that through there. So having, all that to say that I didn't even do the dry January and the no sugar January this year, but we have done that for like the past maybe 4 years. And it's a good reset just to make you look at how much sugar is in everything that you eat. And Yeah, I think even the sugar deals. I think you have to have less than 30 grams of sugar a day, which is you really have to count those out to make that happen. But other than that, no. What about you?
So I'm not normally a resolution guy either. Typically, my only resolution is not to mess up and write last year's date, last year's year whenever I'm writing a date down.
Yeah.
And usually I mess up in like 3 days. Um, but this year I decided I was going to do away with sodas. It's like I've been trying to kick the sodas for a long time, and I am now 25 days without a soda. And today was the first day I didn't crave one. So
So
it's
here's
um,
a question for you. What has replaced that? Is it water or like a different type of drink or
uh, water mostly.
yeah.
Whenever I get the craving for something carbonated, I do like the LaCroix, like
Yeah.
the sparkling
Yeah.
waters.
Yeah.
Um, so those help a little bit, um, and then I, in so doing, I've cut way back on caffeine as well. So I have a coffee here and there, or like maybe a tea or something. But so I'm doing really good with that, and being in a job where I'm more active. I've lost 16 pounds since I started the job.
Damn.
From my heaviest, I'm down uh, 31 pounds.
That's awesome.
Is it 31? 30, yeah, 31 pounds. So I
You'll
am
be
now,
easier to paddle around now.
I'm hoping so. Uh, but yeah,
you won't you won't bottom out in your favorite spot up there.
yeah.
You
that being
can get through there now.
That being said, what you were talking about earlier with the running, doing 10Ks and stuff, I usually tell people this. If you ever see me running, it's a good idea to run in the same direction.
Yeah.
It's
Something's
probably a
chasing
good
you.
idea to run faster than me
Yeah.
because I'm either running away from something or I'm running to something very important.
Yeah, I don't run too much. Like I said, my wife and my oldest son, they run all the time. And actually Riley, my daughter, she did cross country the last 3 years, and she's actually the captain for this next year for her senior year. She's the captain of the cross country team. So she's a runner too. She doesn't love it though. She does it just, I think, to stay in shape some, and she plays softball, so she does that in the off season of softball just to stay active.
Right.
Um, and then a younger son is all ball. If it doesn't have a ball, he doesn't care anything about it. But if it has a ball, he's all about it. So
I hear you. Yeah, man. And so, yeah, make sure that you, if you're listening on the podcast, make sure you check out the YouTube video just so that you can see the fantastic beards that Robert and I have going. Um, uh, my one of my goals this year is to get a nice long
yep.
beard.
Well,
Still
when
looks
this one when this airs, it'll be gone. So you'll have to go back and replay it. I always shave it at the end of January.
yeah, and
So the end of duck season has always been the tradition. The start of dove season, which is usually the first weekend of September, and then the last of duck season. Unless I think the kids are going to go on the youth hunt. If they're going to go on the youth hunt, I usually keep it. But these have been in the same place all year. They haven't moved. They are now not decoying ducks. They're just podcast props at this point. So I don't think we're going on the youth hunt. So at the end of January, it'll be clean shaven again. My wife will be happy.
I am sorry that the burden of manhood was too much for you to bear.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's just almost all gray now. So you get it, and I look like I'm 60 or 65, and then without it, I feel like I look like I'm 30, even though I know I don't. But it just makes me feel that way. So
I hear you. Well, we are about to hit the hour mark, so we are going to go ahead and wrap it up, man. Was there anything you wanted to add to the end here?
no, man, I just like I said, looking forward to 2023. Looking forward to some new guests. Looking forward to catching some big fish, and looking forward to doing a little saltwater action. We'll have to go down there and get some video and catch some reds and some trout.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I'm excited and fired up.
Absolutely, man. Me too. And definitely have a lot to look forward to this year. That is going to do it for this episode, though. Y'all take care and God bless. Thank you for listening to the Faith and Fishing podcast. Faith and Fishing is produced and hosted by me, Cam Steele, and is sponsored by Jade's Jigs, Get Outdoors Pedal and Paddle, Save Your Outdoors, Atollas, and Mr. B Lure Company. Be sure to give us a rating and a review and to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. That's going to do it for this episode. Y'all take care and God bless.